Soul Tribe, Pluto's getting ready to station retrograde. We have Mercury getting ready to form its third conjunction with Chiron, and we're getting ready to start off a new moon cycle here. A lot of energy is getting ready to come back. Stay tuned to find out how to work with them. But before we get into that, for those of you who are returning, welcome back, Soul Tribe. I appreciate your subscriptions, your likes, and shares. Your support really is just the greatest, gang, and it keeps us growing. And for those of you who are new, welcome to my channel, Alchemist 8. I'm just saying I have a whole big gesture from my other channel. I have to think of something for this one. This is the one that started it all off. Justin here, and I'm happy Higher Self has brought you here. We're in for an amazing journey. Now, I'm debating. I was talking with Cancer about this. I'm thinking about calling this Celestial Chit Chat, or I had something about celestial forecast because the title's not sitting right. It's still not quite resonating like I want to, so I'm going to be playing around with that. Stay tuned for that. It's just a little nature of my problem. But what I do talk about is the celestial forecast that's going to be happening when the planets are forming exact aspects with one another, how we can work with those energies, where that may be showing up in your chart, how you can better it's like knowing the weather. When you hear that it's raining outside, it's just like, do you want to take a jacket, or do you just want to run free and see where that leads you? But let's go ahead and see where this leads us, because we got some interesting energies this week. So this is going to be the week of for the week of May 2nd through the 8th. Now, on the 2nd, Jupiter day of expansion, and I feel like it could be a really great day of expansion because Pluto is going to be stationed retrograde at 11:16 at 2 degrees and 6 minutes of Aquarius, and will be retrograde until October 11th. And he's going to be retrograding all the way back to 29 degrees of Capricorn, in which I feel that's a very interesting thing. I feel like for us to kind of watch as Pluto's making this retrograde back into Capricorn, because he's going to be entering into a critical degree again. He's been flirting around, going between the end degree of Capricorn, which is like the end degrees, the anaretic degrees. The 29th degree is this energy of completion, this idea of mastery. Now we're getting ready to take these skills and go into a brand new energy. And so I feel there's this interesting teetering back and forth between this energy, and I feel this is going to be important for us to reflect on, since Pluto has been, especially since Pluto really kind of is now starting to settle into Aquarius. How have things been since, I'd say, January? What was it, January 20th, when he first entered? Well, he entered into Aquarius again. This time between then and now, and until he enters back, or between then and now, it's like, how have things for you been? How have you changed as an individual? How have you been integrating all of these situations that may have been happening? And then I feel it's thinking in a broader scale that what's happening for you is happening for everyone. It's at a different scale, and that's where the nice thing when you think about with astrology, it helps us to think both individually and collectively, and I feel that there is this Pluto in Aquarius, I feel, is going to be is an invitation for us to find our individual, of course, do our individual work, but when we take a step towards our higher self, we are furthering the collective consciousness, like we're raising as a soul tribe. And so I feel like that's where the energies are inviting us to, and it's in stepping into our power and then forming those groups that can help. Just like it's this beautiful thing that I feel that Pluto is trying to do, but in order to get to that, there's some things that we're going to need to acknowledge, I feel, collectively. There are areas where we've maybe have not grown individually, or where we've been ignoring, where we may not have, where we've been, I'm thinking about like, this can be from your upbringing to the influence from friends to this, Pluto is this energy of power and transformation and and even wealth and things. And Pluto covers a really broad aspect. He deals with the underbelly of things, and I feel that, I mean, just even for example, like where I've just moved back into to Seattle. I mean, the homelessness is wild. When I mean wild, it's just like there's nothing that I feel like is being done towards it. And so that's been getting me to think about what can I do to further help. And that's not what I'm saying, that this energy is saying that you have to do this, but it's just like, what are some ways that you are feeling called to help society? Because it's when one of us is hurting, we're all hurting, and it is thinking about this in a broader type of sense, and realizing too that it has become a difficult thing, to sometimes meet people where they're at, to remember that compassion, to not get caught up in your own type of stuff and your own things, to, remember that we're going through this at a rudimentary level, a very similar experience. We're born, we're going through we get a X amount of things, and then we return to the earth. But it's that in between, I feel that it's showing up differently. Pluto, I feel, is really kind of changing things up. It's when we do this conscious work during these next 20 years, I feel, with Pluto being in Aquarius, then when Pluto moves into Pisces, then we can start dealing in some more bigger kind of collective unconscious work, dealing with some bigger things outside, be able to handle. I feel it's a lot that's getting ready to happen here, and that kind of stuff it takes time. And that's why Pluto, I feel, he only moves a couple of degrees at a time to integrate this up, because it is a lot. There's a lot of ancestral, generational things that we're needing to fix from, oh goodness, it's just all types of things. And I feel like this is one where we really are, Aquarius being the future. It's like, is this future going? How do you feel about, and not about, when you feel about the state of the world, not looking at it in a way of just like how it just all sucks. What are some ways that it can be improved? Because Pluto can be in a negative, in a lower expression, can just be that, well, we're just gonna all die anyway, so what does it matter? And if that were the case, then this would, that doesn't bode much for, that wouldn't be, that doesn't feel like that does, it's, Pluto deals with some tough things, but I feel that he does that so that we follow our passions, so that we follow, because remember, Pluto is the guardian of a water sign, of Scorpio. Sure, Scorpio energy can be intense, but Scorpio leads with love. Scorpio is that realization that it's understanding the motivations of what you're doing, that desire to face life with, even knowing that my time here isn't permanent, that I can live life to the fullest, that I can bring some sort of lasting impact, that I could bring some sort of healing on a really grand scale, something that transcends myself. Even Pluto's really big, for being such the dwarf planet. Pluto really does have a very powerful impact. So this is a great time for just kind of reflecting on how this stuff has been integrating for you. How are you thinking about these bigger concepts, and how are you being the change that you want in the world, essentially? So big stuff to start off there of the week. No pressure. But this is something too, that is something I feel like, to reminder that this is something that we are I feel are needing to do collectively. This is not just any one person's job. Every person has a certain skill, ability that can help in that betterment. But it's walking in that flow. It's being in that path, walking in that power, as opposed to wanting to exercise, a more maybe kind of, I feel like a shadow side could be where have your views been, where have you been maybe casting your views, where you've been kind of flexing your power and trying to control others in a to mold to your view, and that's it, because Aquarius is fixed air energy. And sometimes we may want to, when we think about Pluto and our passions and our desires, sometimes we can get so obsessed with that we do forget about the needs of others. So in Pluto too, when you're thinking about what Pluto, and I'm thinking about like how Scorpio is that merging of energies, how we merge energies collectively. This is really kind of a lot of deep integration that I feel is really kind of happening here with this Pluto and Aquarius. A lot of stuff is going to be brought up for us, and it's going to be something that, again, is going to be more than, like, for example, and you with like our environment, for example, with where things are going, with how I was just reading something where, my whole kind of introduction even into sort of like starting to do working on myself and thing was through herbs. And I have all these dandelions that are growing out here. I want to go harvest them, but I just moved here, and I'm like, with how they put chemicals down now in the cities and whatnots, it's just like you have this abundance of, because this is not medical advice or anything, but dandelion, the leaf has full of minerals. The flowers, you can infuse them in honey and in tinctures. You can do so much with it, and it grows in abundance. But with how the ground has been treated, how we've taken care of it, from the salts to the chemical, all the stuff. The fact that there has to be even, we can get into that, but there are some things that I feel we have some responsibilities that we have to take, and it is everyone's participation that can make this a smooth transition. And for whatever is resonating with you at a time, maybe it's not, there's something more immediate for you in your environment that you're focusing on, and that's fine, but it is what is resonating with you. So thinking about that. But next energy here, we have on the 3rd of May here, Venus Day, we have at 2:06 a.m. I don't know if I mentioned this is Pacific time. Yeah, at 2:06 a.m., Mars is going to be forming a sextile with its higher octave Pluto. Mars going to be at 2 degrees 6 minutes of Aries, and Pluto at 2 degrees 6 minutes of Aquarius. So Mars is forming this harmonious aspect. The sextile energy can be a subtle one. I feel with Mars and Pluto, though, this is something that I feel you're sensing in yourself and in the collective. This could be where maybe you're feeling a bit inspired by something. Maybe you have found a cause that you want to champion, that you're wanting to do. And this doesn't mean that you're starting up a group and raving a rally. This could be volunteering at a soup kitchen. This could be doing a group cleanup. This could be maybe you're taking some art and you're contributing to something or whatever, beautifying the whatevers, or whatever this thing is that is calling you. Maybe you're wanting to, oh goodness, maybe even starting like a group community kind of movement sort of thing. I was just picturing a bunch of people walking together. This could be like a neighborhood thing, just different ways. I feel, because I like this energy with Mars in Aquarius, because I feel like that's a very active group energy. A great time for understanding the power that community can bring and how that can uplift the individual. When you're, I remember I just joined a group not too long ago in the Astrology Hub, and that's been really cool. Like it's shown me where I can be very social in public, and talking face to face. I'm a little shyer when it comes to online, because it's a whole different environment, because I don't see your face, especially when we're messaging stuff and things. I'm like, oh, I don't want to say something that sounds like this. I don't want to say something that sounds like that. So where it has been invigorating to be in that type of energy, I am still getting the flow of that. And that's what I feel this could be. And it could be maybe vice versa for you. Maybe you've been active on this and maybe you're wanting to get out more in society, maybe join like a sports team, for example. Maybe you like playing football, or maybe you like playing playing football, like European football, or maybe you like doing baseball or whatever, tag. Tag is fun, dodgeball, whatever. It's this, I feel, can be one where, and especially I feel like with this happening on a Venus day as well. Venus is, she's about socializing, and I love that she's in her home sign of Taurus right now. This can be a time of getting outside. This can be a great I feel honestly for this day, if you are able to do some sort of group event, I would say I would challenge to over the weekend, and I might even try to do the same here. I think, yeah, I say getting out there and seeing how the energy feels. Seeing how there's something here, especially when I love when you have like the planets like Mars and Pluto with their higher octaves are talking. When we're talking about that, it's Mars and Pluto are higher octaves of one another. Pluto's a higher octave of Mars. Neptune's is of Venus, and then Uranus is for Neptune. And I love when they're in conversing with one another, because I feel like this could even be too where you're just feeling maybe even rooted on by your guides, even, where you feel that inner voice is feeling more motivational. Even in the face of these kind of Plutonian things that may be happening, there's this bravery that's coming with Mars, because Mars, I like how Mars is feeling personally in Aries right now. Something about, I feel, his recent trek through Pisces when this eclipse went down, I feel like he got a lot of downloads with this. And now he's moving very intentionally. And that's what I feel these energies are wanting you to do. Maybe put little sticky notes that are like, you're doing great, buddy. Like, yeah, keep it up. Like, or like setting little reminders or little affirmations, getting like an app or something along those lines. And even like spreading words of encouragement around. I feel like that can be something too. Spreading this, getting people in this pumped energy. Like, I was just telling like a friend, I was like, hey, I love your jacket. Like, I've been wanting to wear this one, blah, blah, blah. Like spreading, when you see something like, like that energy of gratitude. It's the little things in life. These subtle energies, I feel, is what, even though sextiles can seem small in the micro, these little small wins that make these bigger wins even just more delicious. So I like how this could feel, but also be aware too that the same thing could be happening if we're in that sort of negative headspace. Being mindful, maybe this could be a time where we may want to withdraw if we're feeling a bit of maybe overwhelm from people right now. Maybe you've been feeling and it's time to be with that energy. What can I do to switch that thing around? What do I need to introduce to break this cycle? For example, I had gotten a little bit of a funk, and it's very interesting to think about how the body and how higher self can kind of have your back and not even really think about it. But when you look further into it, it's just like, wow. But I have these herbs that I work with, especially like St. John's, where I have a lot of, the sun has some pretty, I got a lot of conversations happening in my chart with my sun. Neptune is opposed Neptune in the south, in the north node. Pluto trines it. So that's a double edge. It's been more of a win here. At first it was on the other end. But I've been working with like St. John's wort, which is again not medical advice, but great for depression. Could be great because we all go through little bouts of where we're feeling kind of low, and it's just like, how can you make these things work for you? And that was something where I'm like, right, go back to your roots, go back to the basics, go back to listen to the body. Could be too where it's like we could be sharing different tips as well as how we get our energies regulating. How we work with ourselves, because our bodies know what we need. You know, when you're feeling stiff, maybe you're needing to stretch this more. Maybe you're noticing like, oh, I do this motion a lot. Maybe I need to switch this up, or maybe I need to do approach it this way. Maybe I need to maybe put more core into it, make it a more full, you know, just thinking a bit more, and the power that can come with that as well. So that can even be some ways of working with this energy too. So like I said, I like where this week is going. This next energy I feel like is really great. Because on Moon Day, Monday, the 6th of May, we have at 7:26 p.m., Mercury is going to be forming a conjunction, its third conjunction with Chiron at 21 degrees and 2 minutes of Aries. And I really enjoy this because the Sabian symbol for this one, and when you come across Sabian symbols, is like how I like to think of it as like this degree theory, but it was these downloads that happened between this is a whole fascinating story. There's a book on it as well, the astrological mandala. You know, sidebar, one one thing that made me kind of like a sign you could say that I felt like I was kind of on track with kind of getting into really astrology and looking into this and like tarot and things, where the Sabian symbol for my sun's sign, the degree in particular, is a man studying a mandala using a very ancient book. And so I found that very fascinating, reading the astrological mandala studying like what essentially it's just like these little fractions of the year. It's really cool how these little synchronicities can work through, and it adds a extra. I would especially advise this for you if you're doing astrology, and if you have like your Mercury placement in, I say, in Gemini, in even in Cancer or Leo, even Libra. I feel like that Pisces, I feel like that would really just kind of just add a little richness to your imagination, kind of add a little more color to your story. But the phase for this one is 22 of Aries. And the phase for this is the gate to the garden of all fulfilled desires. Doesn't that sound nice? We're opening a gateway to abundance. And the keynote for this is abundance made possible by human togetherness and cooperation. And so what I really feel with this is Mercury, because conjunctions, the theme with conjunction is fusion. And so now you have the mind, your everyday is fusing with Chiron. You know, your wound is coming up to the surface. And think about where your Chiron placement is. And what Chiron teaches us it's the wound that we learn to tend to. It never heals. It's like I imagine, I've never broken anything. Let me find some. I gotta find some wood somewhere. But I imagine it would be something like that. When you break something and then you need to heal it again, it's never quite the same. But it's something where you just have to learn to tend to it differently. But in that, you learn a lot of different things. Like, let's say with my Chiron, for example, you know, mine's in the 12th house in Cancer. So, you know, I'm healing through my subconscious. You know, there's this subconscious, unconscious wound that's happening, and it's even when I think about it, it does bring up a lot of emotions, and it's escapism was a big thing that I had to deal with, and of course, like it was. Now that I've allowed myself to feel a lot more, it has been a whole process, but I've been reminded that I've been working through meditation and been doing this through teas, you know, working with herbs and doing different, you know, trying to make sure I have a regular sleep schedule to do exercises and things, you know, even just one of my Sabian symbols where my Neptune, how my sun is opposed Neptune, that degree where Neptune's at mentions it literally talks about exercise and the benefits of making sure to move regularly. So routine, and it's in my 6th house. So routine has been a regular thing for me to work on. And it's like in getting these rituals, now I can pass these along to others, and it's helped me a lot as well, you know, and it even helping in learning how to emotionally regulate, you know, to be able to talk about these certain things, whether it be through astrology, through tarot, whatever this may be, or just through life, you know. So that's what I feel this Mercury is. It's finding the abundance in your wounds, in these insecurities, in these flaws, and the things that you may see as imperfect or whatever, can produce something fantastic. My partner has Chiron in Gemini in the third house, and he knows five, six languages fluently and dabbles in maybe 10 others. I mean, there are times where where we have nice communication, there is trickiness sometimes. And I mean, English is not his first language, but the fact that he knows a bunch of languages, almost forgot. Let me remember my language. But and that's even too, when you understand people's Chiron, you can see you can approach them differently. It's like, okay, right, I do gotta pause. He does see things differently than I do. And I do have to remember that, but then I also have to remind them that, hey, I have all these emotions. I'm not sure quite where they're even coming from sometimes. Sometimes the things that'll come up. I remember feeling something that was almost, the moon was in Scorpio at the time, and it brought up something almost primal. I don't know if I've ever felt despair like that, but it was something deep. And then I was like, okay, I had to go outside for a moment. But it was like, I still think about that sometimes, but I'm not. It never came back up again, and so that's something that it's. These are things you work on, but I feel like there is gold in that when we create the safe space to address these things and to admit that we're all working through something. Just, I feel like takes the pressure off immensely. And I feel like then we don't think so much about what's wrong with us. It's more so, what can I do to work with this? And what gifts come from it? Because in doing this, now I went from using, like, I grew up playing like Yu-Gi-Oh and all this stuff, and I play Yu-Gi-Oh often I found it online. It's a whole thing. But I went from using cards as a form of escapism to cards as a form of revealing things and to help others and to use skills, and then to take my interest. I've always had a fascination with space and the moon. I remember I had a telescope when I was younger. I was looking up at the moon, and this is even before I even understood, like sun sign and Cancer and things, and just looking at stuff in hindsight. So, it's can be amazing, this richness that comes with this garden that is this experience. But I do feel it's something that it can only be made possible when we do come together, when we do learn to appreciate each other's flaws as opposed to shunning our differences. Sometimes I feel that there was a period of time where I feel individuality, the need to be so individual, so strong, that we were disconnecting. So we were just severing more and more and more. And as opposed to coming together in that uniqueness and coming together and wanting to heal this whole thing, because I feel like deep down that part of us that is all knowing just wants that integration, that flow, for things to maybe not be so extreme. It's not to say there's never going to be conflict, and but it'll be where we can handle conflict more constructively. So this is a very interesting energy, I feel, with Mercury and just doing this with Chiron. And I feel like there was a big emphasis with Mercury passing this 3 times, and thinking, especially with Chiron having been a big player, starting off our first lunar cycle of the year in that eclipse with the sun and the moon on the exact degree where the sun is exalted. There was so much symbolism there. I mean, it's unreal, and it's been a lot of energy that's been going on. And I feel like this is something where we do have to remember that it's a collective thing. Otherwise, it can be too much. So, but the nice thing too, later this day, and keep in mind too, this is I'm in Pacific time, so this may be happening for you might be into the next day, because at 10:42 p.m. and that'll be, I just said that, it'll be, the sun is going to be forming a sextile with Saturn, and the sun will be at 17 degrees 10 minutes of Taurus, and Saturn will be at Pisces. Now, what I like about this energy, because I've been thinking, like, I was, if you follow like planetary hours and things along those lines, I was born during the hour of Saturn, and Saturn actually is the tightest aspect that he forms a square with my midheaven. It's like maybe, oh goodness, it's like maybe 8 minutes separation or something like that. It's a real, it's yeah, it's something else. But Saturn Saturn can get a bit of a bad rap because he's seen as this taskmaster. When you think Saturn, the automatically delays get brought in there, restrictions, limitations, work, all time. It's like all the things where you're just like, oh, son, come on, Saturn. But Saturn's like, no, you come on, Saturn. This is a supportive one because I feel when you have that conversation between Taurus and Pisces, this is this I feel can be for some an invitation to invest more in your dreams, to put more value, more stock in yourself, in your values, and in that requires you to understand who you are and what you value. But I do feel that there's this support here of, I feel like where you can actually start seeing things coming to manifest. Like when you how do I want to put this? When you start walking in investing in the things that you want and building the things that I feel like truly resonate with you, start making more time for that, working, finding ways instead of, let's say for example, if you're wanting to maybe start your own business, instead of working your business around your working hours, working your working hours around your business. That would be one example. Or if this is like working, if we're trying to work in a routine, like maybe we're trying to eat more prep more foods at home, for example. Maybe we've been eating out more than we would like to. Then this could be maybe starting getting the routine of prepping some stuff in the beforehand, like doing some things the prior to, or even doing it like the week before, scheduling out for, like little snack bags and things, like getting, there's something here. I feel like there's this joy in there's this routine, letting go, I feel like, of the idea, because this can be, I feel like, a lot of building energy when you're taking your imagination, and things can really start getting grounded, with this energy. So anything that you want to, I feel like, embody, Saturn is providing. And I would say this could be one where, pay attention, I feel like, through where your mind kind of wanders throughout the day. What are some things that I feel like, inspire you? What are some things that you can work on, but you can make them enjoyable, make them a task? Like, okay, maybe let's say, for example, if you have like a family, and let's say you're trying to make more time, maybe you don't have enough time for yourself while you're prepping meals for them, you're prepping your own little snack bags too, or something along those lines. It's I feel like there's something very uplifting, I feel like, that's happening here, like in putting what you're wanting to. I feel like the things that get your imagination running, that get you feeling in this dream-like state. I feel like Saturn wants you to really kind of make that real, wants you to put that into, I don't know, put this into action, I feel, and realize when we're talking with Taurus, is there things that we don't rush. These are things that we're tending to, but again, I'm getting a very enjoying this process, letting this be something where we're turning it into like a ritual, for example, where here's an example. Laundry. It's never ending. It's always there. And that's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be something like super big, but like something to make life, I feel, flow a little bit easier for you, so that you can, I don't know, get you in a different type of flow, get you where, I don't know, things get in get my example would be like when I'm doing laundry, I'm like I've let it become like a joint task, and in that task, that can be time where we're playing a podcast or where we're just talking in general, but something where it's become more like a group activity as opposed to like a solo activity, and just I hope that makes sense. Like this Saturn sextile Pisces energy, it's again the sextiles are subtle energies, but I feel like there's something here about getting excited about how things are flowing here, or being more excited about building up your dreams. And even though it's something that you're taking a process, the fact that you're seeing something happen, we're seeing some visible results here, like that could even be something. But I think I'm going to move on from that. I feel like I'm serving up word salad. But last energy here, and then we'll get you out of here. On the 7th of May, we have, on Mars Day, we have our new moon that's going to be happening in Taurus at 8:23 p.m. Now, I'm going to go into more detail on this on my other channel, the Chariot and Friends. So if you have any Cancer placements in your chart, I definitely feel like, especially if Cancer in like not just in your main three, but in like your personal planets, your Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, I would say that this could be very beneficial for you, because your personal planets are affecting you every day. These are things that are in your, that are constantly, a part of you. And the outer planets are as well, but they're more subtle energies. But the personal planets are going to be synced up with the moon. So knowing where your moon, if you have your moon, moon in Venus, maybe your relationships are changed, things change with your mood. Maybe you're wanting to get out and about when the moon's in Gemini, but then maybe when the moon is in Capricorn, you're feeling a bit more introspective. Maybe when the moon's in Pisces, you're wanting to rest more, or maybe you're forming more so that relationship with your spirit guides. It can be very interesting how you can work with these energies. So if that's something you want to check out, if you have Cancer placement, I would definitely suggest that as well. So it's a good old time. I love that. My sun signs in Cancer, and as I told you, my Chiron's in Cancer. So actually, my South Node's in Cancer as well, conjunct my sun. So it's like I got these Cancer things down, but it's just like now I got to take them out there and do something with them. So, but the moon. And I think this is an interesting one. I'm excited about this new moon cycle, this new lunar cycle coming up, because when we're talking about that conjunction with Mercury and Chiron, how this gate is opening up, this new moon cycle it's very Taurus. The imagery that it's even painting up with the Sabian symbol, it's talking about this new land. And again, I go into that more on the other channel, but it's this, it's taking, now we've had a time to really kind of process how we felt about during our very first lunar cycle. And now we're moving into Taurus, the part of your, this is where we'll check out the part in your chart where this is happening for you. For example, where this first new moon happened for me was in my 9th house. And when I was doing my vision board and things, I have some expansive ideas. I got some things where I want to do maybe some more root cultural work, and I want to get on some podcasts with some people there. Maybe there's some collaborative work I would love to do, and I've said some bold things. I'm trying to really kind of shake up and take action. So, and now where this is happening in my 10th house. Now it's like, how can I invest in myself? How can I invest in that? What does that look like? Now we're thinking, and this is looking at where this is happening in your chart as well. So again, if you're wanting to know where this is happening, book a reading with me. have all that information down in the description box for you. We can work with this stuff more, and you can see how, as you're working with these things, how this stuff can grow. That's why I feel like that Sun sextile Saturn is. It's having fun mapping out what you're going to do, letting this be more of an experience more than a chore. But this new moon in Taurus, I feel, is a time to really invest in what what matters to you. And I feel like this is a time of patience. This is a time where, now you've planted the seed, and now we're getting into the ritual of it. How do we take care of this thing? We're watering it each day. We're maybe how much sun is it getting? This is a time where I feel I feel like this is a time to really kind of invest in yourself, and kind of invest in, again, the things that truly matter to you, the things that make you feel at peace, internally, the things that make you feel in alignment, that like, yes, this is where I want to stand my roots, and where I feel grounded in my power. And the moon is exalted in Taurus. She feels secure in that energy, feels at home, feels like that, there's a safe space with Taurus. There's this strength that comes with this energy. And so I feel this is just a reminder to take it slow with these energies, that it is a process, with Taurus. Things will get more active when we get into Gemini, for sure. Things start to pick up. But I feel this is a time for where things are moving a little bit slower. It was a lot with Aries. So now this is a time to take, okay, now all this information that I have, let's integrate this. Let's sow these seeds or let's tend to this land. Let's tend to this and get familiar with this new cycle that we're in. And yeah, because we're working with some new fertile ground here. So I think I'm going to leave that there. So I hope you liked that. Hopefully enjoyed that. And if you have any questions about how these energies are working with your chart, feel free to DM me. And I would be curious to see how these energies are working in your chart. Share down in the description box below, and talk about how you're working with these energies. And because I feel like that's something too, when we discuss this stuff together, and kind of understand how these things may be manifesting, we can get a better idea of what's going on, and just kind of come together as a community. But I'll leave that there. So until next week, you stay mindful out there, stay aware, keep raising that vibration through the roof, and I will catch you on the next one. Later.